Everybody just laughed at it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I want to know who voted for him, because no Americans ever come here.
He come here.
Never. Oh, I wouldn't vote for that guy. Well, you fucking put him in twice, so somebody voted for him.
They cheated.
Next thing we have is the Manchester Martyrs. The year was 1867, and there was a rebellion here in Ireland. The instigators of the rebellion were arrested and brought to trial. A carriage carrying the prisoners was passing through Manchester when it was attacked by a group of Fenian supporters, Republican supporters. They tried to break the lads from the carriage with an axe, and it failed. Someone ran away and got a gun and out blunderbuss, and they fired at the lock. In doing so, they opened the lock to kill the guard in the back of the van. The prisoners escaped and the crowd dispersed. Later on that same day, British police went into a bar in Manchester and arrested the first three paddies they could find: Allen, Larkin and O'Brien. They were subsequently hanged, and it was later proven they had absolutely nothing to do with it. They were navvies working on the railway. So that's a bit like the Birmingham 6 or the Guildford 4 cases of the day.
Yeah.
We say here in Belfast, innocent until proven Irish. Okay? Then there's Guernica. Originally painted by Pablo Picasso in 1937 after the bombing of the Basque town of Guernica by the Luftwaffe. Now, for the first time ever in August of last year, two mural painters came together, a Catholic and a Protestant. They chose to paint this as it's the most famous anti-war picture in the world, okay? Guernica by Pablo Picasso. And there's a guy you might know.
Frederick Douglass.
Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was an African-American slave. It was a time of the famine here, 1845. The potato crop failed and many Irish immigrated to America. Some young Irish men came across Frederick, a slave, as he worked in the fields. They helped him to escape. They got him a passage on a famine ship, and he worked his passage back here to Ireland. Whenever he got here, he educated himself and later returned to America to fight for the abolition of slavery, for women's rights and Irish freedom. I'll give you an opportunity at the end to get photographs everywhere we go, alright?
Am I being rude?
Well,
Just
really? Don't fucking start me now. Next thing we have is Maghaberry prisoners. In 1998, we had a thing called the Good Friday Agreement. Part of that agreement was all political prisoners would be released by the year 2000. Now this happened as long as you were held here in the province. If you were held in a jail in the Irish Republic or in a jail in England, you didn't come under the agreement and you wouldn't be released. So you had to be held here to be released under the Good Friday Agreement. Then we have the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Catholic nationalist people here in Ireland have a lot of sympathy with the Palestinian people who are seeking freedom in their own country themselves.
Well, they should.
And the very last mural there brings us back to 1976, and Maggie Thatcher had just come to power. She wanted to challenge the IRA. The only way she could do it was to challenge the prisoners, the men who were locked up. Excuse me. So she decided to remove the fact that they were treated under the Geneva Convention as prisoners of war. She took it off them.
So that's where George got the idea.
Kieran was the first guy to go to jail under the new regime. And the prison governor would say to him, you have to wear a prison uniform. He refused to wear a prison uniform and be branded a common criminal. So he was thrown into a cell naked. All he had in the cell was a blanket, and he put the blanket around his shoulders. Within 1 week, he was joined by 300 other men who had all abandoned their clothes and all just wore the blanket. This became known as the blanket protest, and by 1981 it escalated into the hunger strike, whenever 10 men died to get back the fact that they were treated as prisoners of war. We'll speak about the hunger strike when we go a little further up the road. Now I'll point out that Belfast grew up as a city around the production of Irish linen, and that linen was produced in 29 linen mills here in Belfast. 19 of those 29 mills were along this road here, between the Catholic Falls and the Protestant Shankill. And the mills were all unique in the fact they all had two gates. A gate on the Catholic side and a gate on the Protestant side. And the women would go in and work together all day and then go back out to respective gates at night. Okay? See that building there? That's the last mill that still operates with two gates. It's a mill for the production of flour. Linen is too labour intensive to produce here in Ireland. Nowadays they make linen in India. Bring it back here, stick a wee shamrock on it, Bob's your uncle. Go ahead and get some photographs here.
One door in that car.
cameras on the other side. No photographs, please. Oh, you get that, girl? I never worry about it.